Welcome, everyone. Today's topic is deal domination, and we have a special guest today, Andrew Holmes from Chicago RIA. So, Andrew, thank you for being our special guest today.
I thought you were doing an intro about today's meeting, or no? Okay. All right. Hey, guys, welcome. For those of you guys are not familiar with Chicago RIA, Chicago RIA is the largest association of real estate investors in the Chicagoland area with about 10,000 plus real estate investors. So today we're going to talk about how do you use a service, which is, in this case, Hugo started the service, and it's called ChicagoDealVault. So does everybody have access to this?
Most people, but there are some who don't.
Can you give them a free trial?
Of course.
Okay. So for everybody that is on the webinar, if you've already registered for a 3-day, Hugo, I think ChicagoDealVault purchased a bunch of tickets that they're providing complimentary to everybody that is on the webinar. And they're complimentary, so you don't have to pay for it. If you have that and if you have registered for it, I think he's going to give you a code, I believe.
Right. So, Phil, please do me a favor. Can you send via the chat andrewholmesevents.com, and the promo code is deal for free. If you can post it via the chat so people get a complimentary ticket to the 3-day event coming up March 13, 14, 12, 13, 14.
Right. So when you get the login, you will also get a free setup so that you can use that till the next 3-day, right? And that'll be basically access. So a lot of the features, a lot of the things we will talk about today are going to come from, you'll have that available because during the 3-day, we go through all of these things. So the reason why this is such a powerful tool, right? If you are somewhere else in the nation, and in a lot of places, this is not available, right? So then what you have to do is you have to go to somebody like ListSource, you have to go through different websites and buy 100, 200 leads at a time. So you're paying about 20, 30 cents a lead. Here, for about 120, 130 bucks. You're going to have free access to it for the next 2 weeks through Hugo, right? So you don't have to pay for anything. But what we want you to look at, because what this tool is, and I'll show you how we use it in terms of real estate investing and why this is such an important tool if you use it properly. The problem with this tool is there's too many things that are going on. So let's first understand what this is, right? So what had happened was the way this came about, that way it'll make sense to everybody. Hugo is in what's called Mastery. For those of you guys that know Mastery, him and his wife came to Mastery about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago now. Right. And at the time, they weren't doing very many deals, right? So they come to Mastery in the last 2.5 years or so. Frida has done how many flips?
3.
So she's done 3 flips. And then how much money did she make on those?
About 20% return on the ARV.
On the ARVs, okay. Yeah. So about, I'm going to say close to about $100,000, if not Correct. More, right, on those 3 flips. And then she has, you guys have how many rentals?
31.
31. So she bought 31 rentals, right? And what these guys started figuring out was, I mean, think about it, 31 rentals, that should be about 14, 15,000 a month net, right? That they make besides what Hugo does. And Frida has a full-time job, kids, the whole 9 yards. So the way this whole thing came about was in Mastery, we always talk about area selection, we talk about property selection, we talk about all these different pieces. So Hugo one day comes to me, he's like, oh my God, I'm going to make all this information available. I'm like, good luck, Hugo, go right ahead, make it available, right? So a lot of the tools that we were using within Mastery, right, they were not available anywhere one place, right? And in Mastery, I get a chance to work with people one-on-one. So what he did was he took a lot of the pieces of the tools, right? And he basically put it together in one place. And when I saw this, even for people from Mastery, we said, hey, listen, you should use this because the data that he provides is incredible data at an incredibly good price. So if you're going to the 3-day, make sure you take advantage of this. So I'll show you guys kind of how it works. And there's a lot of different pieces of this. and we'll talk about kind of a couple different things, right? So what this tool does is this, right? That you have the MLS deals, right? Multiple listing service deals, and then you have all the off market, right? So what is going to be off market? Off market is going to be pre-foreclosures. This is going to be a big one. It's about 40,000 or so properties that are pre-foreclosures. Then you're going to have probates, right? So probates are going to be the second biggest tool. Then you're going to have auctions, right? These are the other ones that are going to be really, really a lot of properties. And then you're going to have vacant properties, right? The problem with Hugo's tool is this. It gives you too many leads, right? It gives you just too many leads to work with. So you need to pick, are you going to work pre-foreclosures? Are you going to work probates? Are you going to work auctions? Or are you going to work vacant properties, right? So today, I'm not going to have time to cover all of these different things because there's just too much to cover. During the 3-day, we will go through it in much, much more detail. But I'm going to kind of give you guys a little bit of highlight of how, if you think about using this tool, how do you use this tool, right? So we'll talk about that. Now, not only do they have the access to the leads, but what they also have is they have what is called a cash buyers list, right? And these are terms a lot of times people hear all the time. They're like, well, you know, you need to get a cash buyers list, and then what you need to do is you need to send your deals to them. What does that mean in practical life? What that means in practical life is, think about this, right? Let's just say you have an area. I'm just going to pick an area. Let's just say you have a town of Midlothian, right? So if you have a town of Midlothian, there are going to be probably 100, 200 properties that are going to be pre-foreclosures. There are going to be probably a bunch of vacant, probably 150 properties or so that are going to be vacant properties. You're going to have some probate deals over there. And then you're going to have some properties that are other distressed sales, like auctions. And think about that, right? So these properties are not on the multiple listing service. So let's just, actually, let's look up the numbers. Can you share your screen or no?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So you want to pull up ChicagoDealVault on there?
Yes.
Okay. So okay, so everybody should be able to have access to Hugo's screen. So now first, let's find out, how do we find properties, right? So first, let's just identify that. And since I said Midlothian, you can use any town. You know, actually, we always talk about Midlothian. Let's say Waukegan. Let's go to Waukegan. And let's pull up all the pre-foreclosures in Waukegan. So first, what we're going to do is, and I'm going to write those numbers down here for you, just because I want to show everybody how many deals there are in all these areas. So if you do search, okay, so pre-foreclosures, as you guys can see over there, can they see this screen also?
Yeah.
They can see both, okay.
Both.
So 337, right?
Yeah.
337 pre-foreclosure properties, right, in Waukegan. Now, how many probates in Waukegan? And just put with real estate.
Okay. Real estate.
Yes, and search. So so in probate searches, whenever 92. You do probate searches, make sure that you go to this, when you go here, up here, you go and click the city. Once you've clicked the city, then you go down here and put yes, because what is a probate? A probate is a deal where there's an estate, right? The person may have had a car that they may have jewelry, they may have other stuff. But if there's real estate with it, what happens is when that information is entered at the courthouse, they have a special section there where they have to click off real estate, because that's basically attached property. So what that means is now you can do that search. So you don't want to do basically, you don't want to go after people that do not have real estate, right? You want to go after, there's no point going after everybody. There's only people that you want to go after are people that have real estate attached, because otherwise you're going to waste your time. So you go there and then you pick the people that have real estate. Those are the only leads that you want. Why is this not working? Okay, let's do clear. So let's just put that Waukegan again, please. Okay, and then put search for a second. See, okay, here, this is what I want to show everybody, right? People can see the screen, right?
Yeah, they can see the screen.
So if you see, look at the number, there are 204 leads in Waukegan that are total leads in probates, right? Because if they don't have real estate, then why would you want to go contact them? It makes no sense. So what you do is you go there and you click yes for real estate, and now you put search, right? This is really, really important that whenever you're doing the search, you include all the people that have real estate, and that's it. You take out the rest of the people. So in this case, it gives you 92 leads, right? So 92 leads that are probate leads that are real estate attached leads, right? Now let's look up, how about people that have, we looked at pre-probates, how about vacant properties? So now he's going to look up vacant property. What we're doing is we're building a list of all the people that are potential deals that are off market, that are not listed anywhere else. So how many does it give us? That gives us 53 leads. Now, mind you, this is just in the city of Waukegan, right? This is nowhere else. And then what do you have? And then upcoming auctions.
Upcoming auctions.
So all the ones that you directly can basically go after are the ones that I'm including here first, right? 9 upcoming auctions, right? Now, mind you, because the auctions have been shut down, that's why there are only 9. Otherwise, you would have a ton of them. And there's going to be a huge, massive wave of properties. So if you notice, there's about 337 here. There's another 10 here, so that makes it about 350 approximately, right? Plus 50, so that's about 400 plus 92. So about 500 leads you have just in Waukegan, right? This is kind of the cool part about what the system does for you. And you can download all that data. You can download all that information. Not only that, so let's just say we go and look at one of the properties. We're going to go to pre-foreclosures, and then we're going to basically go and look at, I'm just showing you guys a sample property, right? So we're going to go click here. And then what this does for you is he gives you what is the approximate ARV on that property, meaning after repair value. So this is important to understand. How does he come up with the value? Are they sitting there coming up with each value? What they're doing is they're basically pulling all the data from Zillow, from Trulia, from all the different websites, and they're giving you an average. Because whenever you're going after this many leads, you can't go and look up every single property. This is a tool that you use for estimation or for cutting down the work. Is it going to be perfect? No. But is it going to work about 90 to 90% of the times? 100%, right? That's the difference between if, say, someone like us goes after a lot of properties versus you, because you're going to end up doing a lot more work. This is a really, really, really advanced tool. And then he has a bunch of calculators built in. Now, today, I don't have time to go through all of those steps. What do you pay for a property? All that kind of stuff. But what he has also done is he helps you make an offer. So let's just say you find a property, you've done a mailing to the seller, and the seller says, okay, I'm interested, right? Can you send me an offer, right? All you have to do is go here and click on that little button, and guess what it's going to do? It's going to go ahead and help you prepare an offer with all your information. The real estate contract is built in, everything is built in, right? So it's all within the software that you can use. You don't have to step out of the software to do anything. You just hit click, and boom, you can print off the contract right away. So if we go back to this, so here's another cool feature. A lot of times, where's that skip tracing feature? Right here, right? So if I go here, we'll see what it'll also do is it'll automatically do a skip tracing on people. What is skip tracing? Skip tracing means if somebody doesn't, basically finding people who don't want to be found, right? Any name that is associated with this person, with their data, right? It'll go out and automatically find their information, find the last known address. If you notice, this address is from Texas, right? This is not a local address, so they basically may have moved out of the area. It gives you different phone numbers that are associated with this person, and they may be their numbers, they may not be their numbers. That's what the deal with skip tracing is. But the difference between people who are finding a lot of deals off market is this, that what they're doing is not only are they not going after MLS properties, but they're going after properties that are not obvious, right? These are properties that are not available to 99.9% people because they don't even know where to look. So this is a really, really, really advanced tool. The problem with the tool is this: most people don't know how to use it. It's like having, a Ferrari in your garage, and it's just not put together. And if you don't have a mechanic that really knows what he's doing, guess what? It have all the parts. You could even look up some of the videos probably, how to put an engine together, but you're going to be lost. And that is the biggest issue, that a lot of people just don't know how to use this tool because it's such a powerful tool, right? So the reason I brought this up, that if I was going to go after properties, what I would do is I would either pick a town or I would pick a zip code, right? That's one way of looking at it. Or I would say, okay, I'm interested in Waukegan, I'm interested in Mundelein, I'm interested in, let's just say, what's the town right next to the Beach Park? All the towns in that area. And then I'm going to only go after pre-foreclosures, or I'm only going to go after probates. Now, if I was you, if you have a small budget, and this is something we'll talk about during the 3-day as we go through it, right? What I would suggest is you pick one town and then hit everybody, because what you do is you send them, these people a letter, you send these people a letter, you send these people a letter, and then start segregating the list based on who gives you the most response. And for all of us, the response is going to be a little bit different, right? So, and then you analyze that and you say, okay, now which thing works? So even for us, right, the way we started it is, I said, okay, I'm going to dedicate X amount of dollars. So we did a mailing. We spent, I'll give you a very simplistic example. I'll go through something much more complex, a business of this during the 3-day, but we took a $700 budget and we said, hey, listen, we're just going to do one mailing, mere one mailing, right? On that one mailing, what we realized was that we actually got one good contract out of it. Not just a lead, we got a bunch of leads. So we did the letter, and then we did a phone follow-up with them through text marketing, right? And we got one deal out of it. Now that one deal was worth, when we wholesaled that property, that was worth about 25,000 net, right, profit. Now, in that, what I did was I said, okay, we're going to divide it into different sections. I'm going to take a third of it and I'm going to put that money back. So I spent $700 plus a couple $100 other costs. Let's just say another $300 in costs, right? And so that total cost became $1,000. Now, I took about $20,000. Let's just say 21, so the numbers will fit. But we made about, I think, $20,000, about 7 and then 14. The 14 was our profit. The 7,000, because now mind you, remember, I started with a small budget. Now on this money, I've been able to up my budget. See the difference between most people and when people look at it from a business perspective. What we look at it is, hey, listen, I put up $700, I had $300 other costs, I have $1,000 total investment, and then we made this money. Out of this, I'm going to take a third of it, and I'm going to put it back into the business. Now, guess what happened? My budget for mailings, my budget for doing everything suddenly went up from $1,000 to suddenly $7,000. You think I'm going to get many more leads? Now, this is the advanced part of it, right? The next step is this. what if, so can you pull up a cash buyers for Waukegan? So here's what you do, and this is what advanced wholesalers do, right? See, if you wholesale a property to somebody like me, we're happy to buy your property. Hugo's happy to buy your property, right? We buy a lot of those properties, but what about if you could retail that property? Retail meaning sell it to the average homeowner, sell it to the average investor that does not know what they're doing, right? So what Hugo did is, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the software and you're going to pull up, you're going to go to the cash buyers, and then you're going to put Waukegan, right? And then if you're smart, not only are you going to put Waukegan, you're going to put Beach Park, you're going to put all the surrounding areas where investors would buy properties like Waukegan. In this case, we only pulled up all the people who just bought properties in Waukegan for cash. There were 397 names that you get like that. Guys, imagine you have one property, you have it under contract, now you take that property and you just send out a mailing, right? It doesn't matter if it's a property you're going to flip, you're going to rent out, or how you're selling it. You may be selling it as a turnkey rental, or you may simply just do a wholesale with it, right? Instantaneously, you have 347 buyers that are available right at your fingertips, right? See, that is called marketing. So the way you take advantage of that is the way you sell your property, especially in today's market, at the highest number, is you market it out to people that own properties for cash right within the area. You don't have to put it in the MLS. You don't have to do anything, right? So that's the trick, that you take the data from here, and then you take the data of the buyers, and guess what you do? Now, if you're really, really paying attention to this, what I would do is I would try to look up, hey, how many properties? Can you do that in this?
Yeah.
Right? This is a cool tool, right? So go to number of properties. You click on number of properties, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you go and click on that number of properties, right?
So 9, 8.
So think about this, right? Whoever this first person is, Brooke Foundation, they own 9 properties in Waukegan that they have paid cash for, right? Should you be doing a mailing to them? Of course, right? Should you be reaching out to the next one? Whoever this Lydia person is, the next one, Paul, the next one is Delia, right?
Right.
Not only that, right? You can also skip trace them, so you have their mailing address, right? Their mailing address is that you have all the information. And guess what? If you're smart, what you're going to do is you're going to identify a property here, and then you're going to back mail it to them so that you have a built-in buyer. I mean, this is a absolutely phenomenally powerful tool that a lot of times people just don't know how to use. And the reason is not because it's not available. The reason is people don't know how to use this. So, Hugo, are there any questions?
Okay, let's.
Leads are updated. Okay.
Daily,
Oh, they is this? Are they?
Phyllis answering. Yeah.
Oh,
the
Phyllis
leads,
is answering. Okay.
Yeah, the leads are updated. Are there any questions on the line, friends, that you can post via the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself?
Okay. No questions. All right. No questions, right?
Yeah, not so far.
Okay. Got it. So let me go back here. Okay. So you can do unhook. Right now they can see us.
Yeah.
Right. So the way what you do is when you get access to this thing, right? So when you go get access to it, the first thing I would do is I would take your particular town, and then I would start looking around it. Are you looking for properties for flips? Are you looking for properties for rentals? Are you looking for properties for wholesales? Right? If you're looking for properties for flips in general, right, for you to do flips in, don't look up searches that are more than about 200,000. I would try to stay about 250 max. Why? Because on the back end, you want properties that'll get sold quickly and that you can turn quickly, right? So that's why that thing is so important, that you don't look up properties that are higher priced. But I would look up at least 4 to 5 zip codes or 4 to 5 towns where you want to do the search, right? So that you have a nice base of B to C towns. Typically what you're noticing is, so since we're talking about the North, we will stick with that particular subject. So if I was going to try to look up properties, right, to flip, I would not try to look up properties in Libertyville to flip. I would not try to look up properties in Vernon Hills to flip. I would try to look up properties in Mundelein. I would try to look up properties in Beach Park. I would try to look up properties in Waukegan. I would try to go to bread and butter areas, because those properties, you're going to have to do a lot less work. You can buy those properties for a lot less money. We call that area selection and mastery, right? That's a difference. That's much more detailed, and it's not, unless you're a serious investor, that's not for you. But for you as a investor that maybe wants to get started, maybe wants to take their business to the next level, right? What I would do is I would not go after properties that are in $400,000 or $500,000 price range, because you're going to have to put up a lot of money out of pocket. You're going to have to do a lot of rehab in those areas. And then on the back end, what happens if the property doesn't sell, if it sits on the market, right? You have a lot more headaches when you're in higher priced properties. In the lower priced properties, you can still today, last year, 2020 was the most profitable in terms of net profit on flips year ever to record, period, right? Because the inventory of properties is very, very low. This year is going to be a very, very, very profitable level, profitable year to do flips. So if you're that person that, oh my God, Andrew, I want to do flips, now is the time to do those flips. But by the end of the year, you got to start being careful, because once these moratoriums get lifted, once these things start basically coming to market, you're going to have a lot more competition. So that's why I'm saying stick to basic bread and butter properties. Even better, right? What you do is, so whenever the market is really high, like we have it today, right? Instead of even doing flips, my suggestion would be is just wholesale the properties. You'll make bigger profits on the properties rather than even doing flips. Why? Because there are a lot of people who want to get into flipping, right, that are overpaying for properties. They don't know what they're doing. So you use this tool to find properties. The best ones, don't sell them. You keep them for yourself, for either for you to do a flip or for you to do a rental. The ones that you're like, I'm not sure, or I can get a good margin on it, then those, you basically wholesale those out. Rest of them, you keep for yourself. So I'll give you guys an example, right? There's a property in Elmwood Park that we're just closing. That came from this whole list. So the way we looked at that particular property, you have the address on it, Lori? The Elmwood Park property? Sunset? So I'm giving you guys the address on the this property really quickly.
7945 West Sunset Drive.
Okay, can you pull that property up, Hugo? In Google?
Searching, yeah.
Just pull it up in Google. 7945 West Sunset. Yeah, that's it. Right? And then go down to, is there Zillow or something here?
Yeah.
Zillow's there? Okay, go to Zillow.
And share the screen, right?
Yeah. Let me see first. Hold on. Wait. Go down. Let's find where that, can you move this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's look up, where's the last sale? Property, does it show here? Should show property history, right there. Right here. Price. Okay, so show that screen. Okay, so if everybody can see this screen, right, this is the trick to this. So the property is, this is the property, right? Nice little property in Elmwood Park, right? The condition of it, if you notice, the radiant heaters are still here. All we did was basically the kitchen cabinet, not the cabinet, sorry, the countertops. If you notice, these are the older kitchen cabinets. We didn't even change these cabinets over there. We did this, right? and that's it. We painted the place. Now look at what the property was. Does it show the purchase price here somewhere? Oh, here it is, right? The property was purchased, this particular property was purchased for $176,000, right? That was the purchase price on the property. And it had been, before this, it had been on auction.com. On auction.com, for whatever reason, the bank had pulled the property off of there. I don't know what had happened with it. We found it on ChicagoDealVault. We purchased the property for $176,000, right? We did about $24,000 in rehab. That's it. So think about this, right? You're buying the property for $176,000. Right now, the property is pending sale. It's supposed to close in a couple of days, right? It's pending sale for about $7,000 less than what it's listed for. $324,000 is what is listed for. The pending sale is somewhere around $318,000 or so, right? Think about that, right? This property, if it came on the general MLS, and if you had bought this property, it would be impossible for you to buy the property at this price, because we did about $25,000 in work. Then on top of that, that particular condition, because there was actually, I remember now what had happened. There was somebody living in the property. That's why we had it under contract for a very, very long time, because we wanted to close with them when they moved out, right? That's why auction.com couldn't sell it. How could we have found that property? It wasn't available on the MLS, right? On auction.com, the person wouldn't get out. We needed to talk to him directly. The way we reached him was we used the skip tracing tool in ChicagoDealVault, right? That's how you use that tool. So it was bought for $176,000, $25,000 is rehab costs. On top of that, let's just say $20,000 more in carrying expenses, right? I'm exaggerating the figures, but let's just make that number bigger. On top of that, another $15,000 as far as sales costs, right? So if I add up these numbers, here's what it works out to. 6 and this is going to be
35.
10. So this is going to be 6, right? So this is going to be 236.
Yeah.
Okay, 236, right? The property is sold for 318. A lot of times people wonder, how do you make wide margins? You don't make wide margins by doing over-the-top work. You make wide margins by finding properties that are really, really, really good deals, right? Let everybody else do the work. Now, this is a property. Could we have wholesaled this property? All day long. I mean, all day long we could have wholesaled the property. But we cleaned the property up, put it back on the market, threw in granite countertops, painted the property. That's pretty much it. And guess what? You're going to make a nice from 236 to 315. You do the numbers. The way I do the numbers is somewhere about 75,000 or so in net profit, right? This is not gross profit. This is net profit. And the way you use this tool, now think about this. In Elmwood Park, right? A lot of times people think, well, Andrew, but can you really find good deals in Elmwood Park? Guys, I don't care where it is. Actually, let's look, right? Since you have that open, let's look if there are any deals that are available in Elmwood Park, because Elmwood Park would be considered a quote-unquote A area, as long as you can buy the properties at the right number. That's the key issue, right? So what was I looking for? I wanted to have deals. So the way I had done the search, right? So go to, yeah. There we go. And then hit search. Now, in terms of
filter.
you can, yeah, there we go. So there's another cool feature in here, and we had kind of talked about it. This is a little bit cheating because you go build this tool in there, which is once you've done the search. Now in Elmwood Park, there are 128 houses that are pre-foreclosures. Now, if he does search of all the properties that have 50% or more equity in them, think about it. 50% or more equity in Elmwood Park in a high A area, phenomenally good area. There are 11 houses that have 50% or more equity, right? So if you're going to go after properties, I mean, literally, if you're smart, you could take a very wide area that you want to go after. A lot of the areas, like we like certain areas for rentals, we like certain areas for flips. Then guess what we're going to do? We're going to go after only those pockets with the right numbers, right? Because you can't, if you go after everything, you're going to have too many leads and you may get confused. So the way you use this tool, and you can use this tool a lot of different ways. I'm just showing you some of the stuff off the top, how you can use this particular tool. So this is going to be available for you until you show up to the 3-day, right? So until for the next couple of weeks, we're going to make it available. And the reason we want to make it available is that, guys, the market is shifting. As we talk about it on the MLS, the number of properties that are available is really, really low. Because why? Because a lot of properties are basically off-market deals. In the next 2 years, what happened in 2008 is going to happen again. It's going to be a different format, right? Meaning it's not going to be as many properties that go to the banks, right? You're going to have to get to those properties early. How do you get to those early? You look off market. Even if you say, Andrew, I just don't have the time, just pick 1 or 2 areas. That's it, right? That's it. Just pick 1 or 2 areas and then go out to people just within those 1 or 2 areas and then use these tools, right? You could literally today do wholesales. If wholesaling has been more profitable, like last year, if you knew what you were doing, this is the big if you knew what you were doing, you could make anywhere from $17,000 to about $21,000 per wholesale deal. And that number is the highest in anywhere in the country, right? Why? Because number one, there's a lot of deals available off market in the Chicagoland area, but there are not a lot of people that know how to go after and get it. And this becomes a phenomenally powerful tool. The question is, do you have access to it? And are you going to make the effort to go use this particular tool? And you guys have training available, right?
Of course.
Okay. So they have training available on exactly how to use this. If you're going to, when you go and sign up today, right? Because he paid for the ticket for you. So please make sure that you go register for a 3-day. They will send it to you for free. So you're not paying anything for it. But please do me a favor. Before you show up and attend the 3-day event through Zoom in 2 weeks, please make sure you're familiar with this. Because when we start pulling transactions from here, and when we start going through these numbers, start going through this pricing, we want you to have a little bit of an idea when we say, okay, you know, it's a probate deal. This is where it came from. We want you to understand what we are talking about. Otherwise, information is going to go right over your head. So just please take the time to go in, to download it, to take a look at the information so that, I mean, there's a ton of tools. There's private money lenders that are available. There's shadow inventory of properties that is available with exact targeting. There is area reports that are available. So any area that you want to do research on, that whole information is available. There's a ton of information. You want to pull up like maybe report for, say, Elmwood Park?
Yeah.
And if you let John and Nick both know that they got their confirmation, they already got the emails and everything else.
Okay, so John and Nick, Lori got your confirmations and emails were sent out to you. I think you guys just registered, so she told me to let you know. Okay, there we go. So for each area, what they've done is they have done a market report for that particular area, which you can get access to, right? It's available through the DealVault. What they do is they do kind of a generic search, then they tell you, is this a good area for a flip? Is this a good area for a rental? What is the price range? You have that data somewhere also? What price range you should be doing flips in?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So we're going to give them the sales market analysis and the sweet spot.
Okay, so there's something called, we call it, within Mastery, we call it sweet spot investing, meaning you don't want to basically sell properties. Like Elmwood Park is a perfect example, right? There's a lot of people doing flips that are $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, you know? And my point always is this, that if we can find out what is the sweet spot in a market, where we can do the most number of deals, the most number of sales, the highest returns. Why not sell that sweet spot? Why not find deals in that sweet spot and do sales in that sweet spot? Why am I going to go and fight with everybody else on higher price range properties? That makes no sense, right? It just absolutely makes no sense. So what you should be thinking about is what he has provided you here, and that is sweet spot investing. So in each town, what he's going to give you, and you'll have access to this, is how many 2 to 4 units have been sold, how many attached, meaning how many condos, townhouses sold in that area, how many detached properties that were sold, what is the absorption rate, as in how quickly were the properties selling in that particular area, what is the monthly supply? Look at the monthly supply. The average monthly supply is supposed to be 6 months. If you go to Board of Realtors, if you go anywhere, it's supposed to be 6 months. Guys, right now it's less than 2 months, right? Now, where is the highest, where did we go? Here we go, right? 2.8, 2.8, 3.1, right? So the average monthly supply is really, really low, right? Average 2 flat and average 2 flat to 4 flats. They've been selling for a lot of dollars. If you look at this, 99% of list price, right? That's amazing. Now, what he also gives you is, and this is research we do for mastery, but this is something kind of cool if you know how to use it, that is available to you, meaning what is the median price? Median price of a 2 to 4 flat was the median price of a townhouse. What is the median price of property under contract that is a single family property, right? You have the, oh, here it is. Perfect, right? So here they have what is called a sweet spot to buy, meaning where should you be buying the property less than that amount. So if you're buying a property in this particular area and it happens to be a single family property, then you need to be buying it for less than $250,000, because then you can market it up in the 380s, 390s, 400s, because that property will sell. This is a lot of information that they make available for you. You just have to learn how to use it, right? That's really, really critical. Somebody had a... What is the absorption rate and months of housing supply? So absorption rate is basically, what it means is this is a rate that is tracked by Board of Realtors all the time. What that means is you take, let's just say you have a suburb, just take any area, any zip code, right? And let's just say there are currently 100 houses for sale. Every month, there are, let's say, 10 houses that are being sold. If not a single property hit the market, then how long would it take for that monthly supply to dwindle? It's like basically how much inventory you have in the warehouse, how much inventory is going out each day, how long will that inventory last? That's called the absorption rate, right? So if you have 100 houses, 10 of them are being sold every single month in a certain zip code, then that inventory would be gone in 10 months, right? Right now, generally, what is considered healthy is about 6 months inventory is considered healthy. Right now, we are really, really, really short on inventory. That's why they're saying that there's less than, sometimes there's a 2-month supply, 2.5 months, 3-month supply, but the supply is really, really low. Why is it so profitable right now to do flips? Why is it so profitable right now to do wholesales? It's because of one reason. It's supply and demand. Demand is very high, supply is very short. So if you're somebody who's doing a wholesale, if you're somebody that is doing a flip and the property's done half decently, guess what? You're being able to sell that property above market in a lot of cases. That's the reason why a tool like this becomes so, so important if you know how to use it. So that's the biggest thing. But that was a good question. Okay, so actually Sixto asked a great question. Sixto says, how is this tool, DealVault, in comparison with the other tools that are available in the marketplace? Good question. So number one, like if you look at DealVault, DealVault is based out of Chicago. I mean, Hugo started DealVault, right? So the information is Chicago centric. All the data, all the research, all the things that they do is only based for Chicago. It's a specific tool. This particular tool is very, very Chicago centric. So if you're somebody who's a Chicago surrounding area based investor, this is the tool for you. The other part of it is if you look at the cost of it, because the data is generated generally. So the way this data comes is that we used to generate this data for ourselves also, right? And basically, Hugo is using that entire data because there's no way we can use all this data. The problem with me was that we were used to using the data in Excel, right? So you have 50, 60, 70,000 leads. How do you deal with them, right? I mean, it's impossible if you don't have a tool like this, right? Now, I don't know coding, so there was no way for me to kind of have all this data available the way he has it available, right? That is the biggest advantage, that this is data that is generated in Chicago. It's updated as soon as it's generated, it's immediately updated. So it's the most current data that you're going to get your hands on. And right now, he's obviously not charging for it because he wants to encourage you to use it. It's a tool that you should use it. So as long as you're registered for the 3-day, right? And they bought the tickets complimentary for you as their client or as their quote-unquote potential clients. They would love to earn your business. Hence, they are providing that tool to you. And the reason why we have started adopting it, because I was the biggest promoter of MLS, bar none, since 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, because you could find so many deals there, right? Then I was the biggest promoter of all the auctions, right? Because you could find a lot of deals there. Now, I mean, I promote the heck out of, off-market deals. Why? Because MLS, it's not that you can't find deals, it's very tough to find deals there, right? So we all need to go off-market. And if you don't have anybody to sell the properties to, call us. We're more than happy to take properties off your hands if that's what you want to do. Just the other day, a wholesaler, right, came to me. He's like, Andrew, I have a property it's way south, right, in Linwood. He's like, well, I have a property in Linwood I found. So I'm like, man, listen, I know you're brand new. This would be a great property for you to keep, right? You shouldn't be selling this. No. I could really use $7,000 or $8,000. And I'm like, listen, I'm telling you, this is a good property for you to keep. Oh, no. I just want to get my first wholesale deal done. I'm happy. Okay. So that person is wholesaling the property to us for $76,000, right? He has it under contract for 69 and some change, right? We're buying it for 76. Guys, that property on the back end, this is no joke. It'll appraise out close to about 2.5, 2.10, right? Now we have to do about 25, 30,000 in work, but think about it. It's a phenomenally good deal, right? And I felt kind of bad for him because he has no idea what he's doing, right? And I was like, listen, this is a property you should really be trying to keep it because it's just too good a deal to pass up, right? If he was in Mastery, I'd be like, hey, listen, we'll help you with the funding, but don't sell the property. It's too good to sell. But if he knew what he was doing, he would not have sold that property to another investor, right? What he would have done is he would have marketed that property to all the cash buyers in Linwood because they will pay literally $115,000 to $120,000 for this same property, right? And he's selling it to us for a margin of $6,000, $7,000, and that's it. So his biggest problem was, he's like, Andrew, I don't know who to sell it to. I'm like, well, I'm happy to buy it, but I'm just telling you, it's too good a property for you just to waste it. He walked away from $30,000, $40,000 in profit, if not more. So just something to consider. So hopefully people, Hugo, have registered for the 3-day,
right,
and then you can send them the access to it. So
okay. Absolutely. So Phil, can you please make sure that you send out the information, the link for the 3-day sign up, the promo code deal for free, and also the text message and instructions to get access for free to Chicago DealVault until the next 3-day, which is in about 2 weeks time. So I want to make sure that everyone does have access to both the 3-day event organized by Andrew Holmes, Rahul Vishal, and also Chicago DealVault till the next 3-day.
So anything else you want to talk about specifically?
Are there any other questions on the line that we can help you answer? Is there anything that is holding you back from being more successful? Please don't be shy.
Right.
You have the expert right here.
You know, you don't have a lot of questions, Hugo, so that's good in a way. I don't know if it's good or bad, but
Yeah.
you know. So, but guys, listen. If you're here listening to us for the first time, welcome. If you have not gone to the 3-day, make sure you register. It's on March 12th, 13th, 14th, with Hugo basically providing you a complimentary ticket. You obviously have no excuse. So, and when you go there first day, right, it's all going to be about deal. Basically, how do I find a deal? So we're going to go through methods of how do I identify a deal. If I'm going to set up my mailing, how do I set up my mailing? If I'm going to do say a text campaign, if I'm going to do a messaging campaign, how do I do that? And how do I make it a profitable business, right? Because this is not about just spending money. The point is not to basically put 75 cents, you know, kind of down the drain. The point is, if you're going to do something, what is the return that you should be getting on it? And the cool part about being in Chicago is that if you have something that you don't know what to do with, call us, call anybody like Hugo, call anybody from Mastery. They will be happy, right? They will be happy to look at your properties because they have funding available through us, right? Just because of Mastery, we're willing to provide funding for them, so they will be happy to buy your deals. So having said that, hopefully this makes sense. So Ms. Brenda asked that how often do you buy deals for cash, or are you using OPM? OPM meaning other people's money. So Ms. Brenda, we always buy properties for cash, period. Right? So if I'm buying the property, if my business partner Rahul is buying the property, we will buy it for cash. If Hugo is buying the property, his wife is buying the property, anybody from Mastery, they're paying you cash. And the way they pay you cash is that either we're going to fund their deals or somebody else from Mastery is going to fund their deal. Okay? That's how they are basically. Now, does Hugo and his wife have money? Obviously, they have money. So if they have their own funds available, they're going to pay cash for it, right? This is not a hard money loan where they're going to a hard money lender and borrowing the money. They're just borrowing the money from within Mastery. So within Mastery Group, we have about 1,000 people, and we have close to, you know, $12 to $13 million that is available within that group from funding, where people fund each other's deals, right? They're obviously getting interest on it. That's why they're funding those deals. So that's how everybody buys the amount of properties that they buy. Obviously, properties I'm buying, Rahul is buying, we're paying cash out of our pockets, right? So out of our reserves, we're paying cash. But that's how the reason why in Mastery there's so many properties bought and at such speed is for that reason. So if you have a property that you want to sell, you're worried, oh my God, are these people going to get funding or not for my deals? You know, if it's somebody from Mastery, then at least you don't have to worry about that part of it. So hopefully that answers your question. Somebody else said, interpreting the lien list. I have a question about foreclosures.
I can explain it. So when we're pulling a list from DealVault and looking at the pre-foreclosures, we're taking into account some of the other liens that are listed, in addition to what the balance is due, is owed. And so sometimes it doesn't specifically give a number. And so just curious if there's any other due diligence or research that you do or would recommend when trying to figure out how much we can offer for a property.
Okay, so actually, this is a good question. Who is this again? I'm sorry.
This is Mallory and Javier. We're in Mastery.
Okay, got it. So I was like, this is too technical a question for, you know, so, okay. So let's just kind of go through an example, right? Let's just say you find a property. I'm just going to use a hypothetical example. Let's just say it's in Chicago, right? You have a property in Chicago and you see that in DealVault, right? So what will happen is it'll come up. Let's see, is this let's go to a pre-foreclosure. So let's say, let's pick this one. This is Mokina, right? So in this, Mallory, if you're from Mastery, right, what you should be doing is, this, that number one, you, if it's a pre-foreclosure, just contact the seller, right? Don't worry about any of this other nonsense. The only thing you should think about is this lien number one, or is there any other liens? So if you're from Mastery, the only thing you want to chase is, you want to chase lien number one. That's it. Don't worry about any other liens, okay? As long as the seller is willing to sell the property. So the seller says, hey, listen, I'm interested. So I'll give you an example. Harry from Mastery just found a property. And basically I said, hey, listen, don't worry about what the value of the property is. Don't worry about anything. Let's first figure out, does the seller want to do something? So he goes, yes, the seller wants to do something. The seller wants to sell the property. At that point, what we said is, okay, let's figure out what is the back end value of the property, right? So what we figured out was the back end value on that property is about $260,000 or so. That's the back end value on that particular property. Now the mortgage owed on that property is in excess of, I think, 150 or 160,000 bucks. Okay. So the formula that we use in general, and this is a formula that's a very generic formula, and you can just use this, you will not go wrong. You take 260, forget about what is owed for now, completely. You take 260, you multiply that by 0.7, right? What is that number? 260 times 0.7. You know, 260,000 times 0.7 is going to be 7,321, 7 for 28.
245.
No, man. 0.7 is going to be 245? 260.
No, you're right.
182.
182. There we go. Yeah, that's why I was like, man, your math is off.
Yeah, way
right?
off.
Okay, 182. Now you take 182 and you subtract whatever it's going to cost you for that particular property, right? In terms of rehab. So let's just, I'm using a hypothetical example. Let's just say it's going to be about 40,000 bucks, right? So the maximum price that you can pay for that property is going to be 142,000. Does that make sense? Hello? Mallory, did I lose you?
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so 142 is the maximum price I can pay for that particular property. Now what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to go back. I know what my price is on this, right? Now I'm going to go back and say, okay, the seller owes 150 or 160. I'm not going to pay 150 or 160, period, right? Because on top of the 150 or 160, whatever is owed on the property, there's going to be attorney fees, there's going to be all sorts of other nonsense that is still going to be required. So now when I go to the seller and say, Mr. Seller, you haven't been making payments on this. Would you be interested if I could put you in touch with an attorney that can help you get rid of this mess? This is exactly what Harry did. She's like, yeah, I want nothing to do with it. There was a really tragic event that happened over there. I don't want to get into that whole thing for today's discussion, but they're like, we want nothing to do with it, right? This is a perfect scenario. So guess what Harry is writing the contract on that property for? He's writing a contract on that property for $80,000, right? Now, I know as well as Probably the bank does, that they're not going to take 80. But will they take 100? Probably so. Because when we go to the bank, we're going to say, hey, listen, for the condition that the property is in, it's going to take $60,000 or $70,000 to fix it. Does that make sense, Ms. Mallory?
Yes,
So,
I'm with you.
yeah, so what happens is you're not concerned with it if there are other liens. That's Gina's job to figure that out for you. Don't waste your time figuring out, because Gina will go work with the village. She'll go work with other lien holders to get those liens, even if there's a second mortgage, right? The second mortgage by law has to accept an offer if the first mortgage is willing to go along with it. And about 85 to 90, it's not going to work 100% times, 85 to 90% times, this will work. So it's a phenomenal way. A lot of times people are like, well, how do I find out all the other stuff? And especially if you're from Mastery, I wouldn't even worry about it. Just go. As long as the first lien, go after the deal, period.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That makes a lot of sense.
No problem. Yeah. Okay, how to construct, oh, this is good questions. These are good questions. So how to construct and present an offer to pre-foreclosure owners, right? So guys, listen, whenever you're working with a pre-foreclosure type of property, understand who you're working with. You're working with people with three different types of people, I'm gonna say. There's gonna be the one owner who's like, he could give a damn, he doesn't care what you do, right? The house could burn down. It doesn't matter to them. Why? Because they've moved out and they're just not going to cooperate. There's nothing in this world you can do to get them to cooperate. That's going to be one owner, one type of owner, right? Now, most people are not in that category. Most people are not. Second type of owner is going to be that person who says, hey, listen, I don't care what you have to say. I'm just going to be rude and obnoxious. That's going to be about 10% of the owners. They're just going to be rude and obnoxious because they're frustrated. They're not frustrated with you, but they're frustrated with the situation. They feel the bank is taking advantage of them. They feel it's unfair. They feel everybody should go to hell in a handbasket because their property is going to foreclosed on. Regardless of who they're pissed off at, they're just not going to cooperate. Right? So between the first and the second, you're going to have about, say, 25 to 30% of people. But the rest 70%, they're going to do one of two things, right? Either that property is going to be basically sold as a pre-foreclosure, or it's going to go on the MLS, or it's going to end up at the auction, right? Now, everybody is going to end up at the auction, but the 70% of people, you and I have a fairly good chance of getting to them. The question is, how do you approach them? My belief has always been that the same way we approach all the people right the day of auction. So whenever the auctions are going on, we're buying properties directly from the auction. But when you buy from the auction, Cook County auctions, DuPage auction, all these different auctions, right? You haven't seen inside of the property. So how do you buy the property? We always go talk to the homeowner, right? And mind you, you show up, somebody shows up. Imagine, just picture yourself, put yourself in a situation, you're losing the house for whatever reason. Somebody shows up at your house. Well, you know, I'm a real estate investor and I buy properties. And how would you like me to buy your property? Or, you know, I'm going to just help you. You're going to have to move out. What are you going to do? The first reaction, you're going to get defensive, and either you're going to be rude to them or you're going to just slam the door in their face, right? Of course, you're having a hard time, you're frustrated, it's a difficult situation, and I have no empathy about the situation, then people are not going to want to talk to you. So the way to approach this type of situation is that you basically, this is the approach you take. If you have a dog, take your dog with you. And here's what I mean. I'm not being facetious. I'm being totally serious, right? If somebody walks to your door and you have a little, now if you're a Doberman Pinscher or some big dog that bites, don't take that damn dog. People are going to be scared of this dog, right? I'm just saying some friendly little dog, right? What happens is the barrier of this quote unquote real estate investor that is going to take advantage of me goes down, typically for people, right? In America, people are very pet friendly. So, but if you just say, hey, listen, I have properties in the area, right? Just, you don't have to say on this street, in the area. It's a general thing. What area? Chicago is an area. It's a pretty large area. But what you're trying to say is, hey, listen, I know the area. You're inferring that. You're not saying that. And, I know this is a difficult situation, and I'm so sorry if I offended you. This is how you say it, right? You haven't even said anything to them. But what you're doing is you're saying, hey, listen, I don't mean to offend you. You just use that term. You can use that term 3-4 different ways. I don't mean to offend you, but, I work with a lot of these darn banks, and this is how I say it, right? Don't say these don't drop the F-bomb in front of them, because some people will take offense to that, right? So you say with these darn banks, and a lot of times and you take a breath, and then you say, a lot of these properties end up basically in foreclosure. And I don't mean to offend you at all, but I'm just trying to find out, are you interested maybe seeing if something can be worked out? All you're doing is you're just trying to give them a wide berth, a wide opening, so that they say something, right? And if they start engaging with you in a conversation, guess what? It's all about building rapport. It's not about showing to them that how successful, quote unquote, you are as an investor and how big of a badass you are, or a dudette or a dude, right? Either one. The whole point is you're trying to build rapport as human beings. And if you're successful in that, right, people will engage with you. Because a lot of times whenever you approach somebody that is in pre-foreclosure, the first thing they want to do is they want to get out of that situation. So they'll say things like, well, I already have an attorney. Or, oh, I have a cousin, he's going to buy the house. Or I have a grandmother that's going to buy the house. Or it's already taken care of, and they're going to try to close the door because it's a painful conversation, and they want that conversation to end. It's normal. All of us have been in difficult situations which we don't want to face, right? So when you're talking to sellers, you have to be aware of that. And once you get them talking, the more they talk, the better you're going to do. And at that point, if they start talking and say, well, I'm not sure, but what you say is this, and this is something I've said 100 times, that you give them, would you bring a baby or a toddler? I don't know about a baby or a toddler. Somebody asked that. That's up to you. Use your best judgment, but but you got to appear friendly, right? You got to appear somebody who empathizes with the situation. What I have always done is this. I always tell them, hey, listen, I'm not sure if you know or not, but a lot of times most seller, and I'll wait. It's not like I forgot what to say next, but it's called neuro-linguistic programming, right? It's a way of talking so that you don't seem very slick. The slicker you seem, the more people don't trust you, right? Like you can't basically just rattle off a script. So you talk to them like human beings. And a lot of times I'll take a pause, I'll take a breath, and I'll say, hey, listen, I end up getting stuck with the job a lot of times in these difficult situations. And a lot of times people have kids, a lot of times people have, situations that happen. And a lot of times when you say that, people are like, yeah, we have kids, we don't want the headache, we just want to get out. People will automatically start talking, right? And a lot of times I say, hey, listen, I don't even know if you know this, but the bank will pay for an attorney to help you. You don't have to pay a dime out of pocket, right? As soon as you say that, and if they understand it, guess what? Now you are not there, you're not a shyster over there to try to take their house away from them. You're there because you're genuinely trying to help them, right? And this is important to understand, that if you're genuinely trying to help them, people will work with you and people will deal with you. And give them, if you guys know Gina Diaz, give them her number, her card, and say, hey, listen, reach out to Miss Gina and say, I'm so-and-so, and I would like your help. And she will be happy to help you. And the best part is, that the bank has to pay her and you're not on the hook for anything. And that's how a short sale works. The seller is not on the hook for anything, and Gina or any attorney that works on that particular deal gets paid by the bank directly. People don't know that. People are afraid to call an attorney because they're like, oh my God, we already are broke. How are we going to pay them? Right? So it's important to understand that. And if you give them that, right, her card or something, now they're like, oh my God, this person didn't try to sell me on anything, right? And just say, hey, here's her business card. And like at the 3-day, we send you all her information so you can share that. I mean, I do that all the time. I'm going to call Gina's office and say, hey, Miss Gina, such and such seller may call you. Now, guess what? Gina's job is not to try to get them the highest price. Gina's job is to help them do a short sale, right? What is a short sale? This house is going to sell for less than what is owed. That's her job. Her job is to get her client out of the mess. The bank is going to take her hit. Her job is to help the client not have a judgment on their record, and her job is to get them some money for moving out. That's what she's going to try to do. The judgment, she'll 100% get that basically not, I mean, they won't be hit with the judgment. The second part of it is not guaranteed. That depends on the bank. Right now, if you do that, all the banks across the board are offering money to people to move out because they don't want to do evictions, right? This is a great time to look at these short sales and these pre-foreclosures. So just something to think about. So hopefully that answers the question. Please repeat, did you say neuro-linguistic programming? It's called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming is what I was talking about. Right? It's basically a way of making a statement that's an affirmative, that's a statement where people cannot disagree with that statement. The statement doesn't say much, but it basically, like if you said to a seller, right, guys, listen, most sellers that I work with, in these types of situations, they're absolutely frustrated. And most of these banks really never give out any information that really helps the seller. What did I say? Most people are frustrated, and the banks don't give information that the sellers are frustrated. I said nothing, literally, right? Look at all the politicians. They do this all the time, right? They say, well, tomorrow is supposed to be a great day. We're going to work towards a great state or a great country because we all love America. What does that mean? It means nothing. I mean, of course, you live here. I mean, what are we going to do? Work towards a bad future? That statement doesn't, but what it does is it makes you feel good, right? That's the art of neuro-linguistic programming, but I'm not going to get into it right now. So hopefully that makes sense. See you guys, most of you guys, hopefully at the 3-day. We will have a lot of fun together, and you'll see, if you've never seen, you'll never meet as many successful real estate investors locally, right? If you're from Chicago, you've never seen more investors that do more business than this group of people during the 3-day. I mean, it's absolutely, absolutely awesome, and we get to share that information with you. So having said that, Hugo, thank you very much.
No, thank you, Andrew. Please make sure that you take advantage of this free ticket that you're going to get to go to the 3-day event. Sign up, please put the link, andrewholmesevents.com, and the promo code is deal for free. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Andrew, for being a great guest speaker tonight and for all your mentoring and support. So thank you everyone for joining today. I look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much, Phil, for your support. Thank you, Laurie, for putting this together.